When you lose larger deals, it's more painful because it's more time spent on these sites, there's more costs spent on these sites, and it hurts more. Sometimes in the process of going to bid on a site and missing out on a site, you forget what you learn getting to the point of missing out on it. Don't beat yourself up that you haven't secured a site. So off the back of getting through the process of these deals, I came to realize that we weren't hot enough on our GDV valuations. So I built what I would call a comps acid test. It's a 7-step process to ensure that a deal that you're bidding on and taking through the legal process has been pre-qualified as best you can at the exit. The first stage, Ben and I have been bidding / pushing forward a couple of sites this year, really, quite large sites. And when you lose larger deals, it's more painful because it's more time spent on these sites, there's more costs spent on these sites, and it hurts more. If you're trying to buy a house and it doesn't go through, the void that's left is a lot smaller and a lot more manageable. But when you do bigger deals, it's a lot more difficult. And essentially, I always try and look at the projects and go, what could we learn from this? And sometimes in the process of going to bid on a site and missing out on a site, you forget what you learn getting to the point of missing out on it. So don't beat yourself up that you haven't secured a site, but take away the takeaways that you've delivered. So how you've learned to analyze that project, and then also how you've learned to carry that forward to be quicker, faster, more robust. And this is exactly that last point. So to be more robust. Now, our comparable process and proving a gross development value has always been down the line of the process of we look at a site, we try and determine the exit value. That will typically be quite loosely formed in the company. So if we're worried about the exit values, we'll go far and wide and speak to multiple agents, speak to valuers, do whatever we need to do to get comfort with that. But our own comfort might not necessarily be the comfort for other parties. I'm talking about investor, the bank, or even partners that are joining on board that scheme. So we kind of almost had quite an elastic process that if we were looking at a deal that we're concerned about exit values, we'd spend more time on it. And if we were looking at deals that we were less concerned, we'd spend less time on them. There are certain areas that we operate now, and I don't even need to do comparables in some regions. There's others that I don't have a clue. I don't have a finger on the pulse in the market. And agents are a good place to go to. So off the back of getting through the process of these deals, well, I came to realize that we weren't hot enough on our GDV valuations. So I was like, how can we, going forward from here, try and eliminate that risk going forward? So I built what I would call a comps acid test. Essentially, it's a process, a 7-step process to ensure that a deal that you're bidding on and taking through the legal process has been pre-qualified as best you can at the exit. The GDV is almost the important figure on the sheet, because if you're 5% out, it swings the deal more out because it's the largest figure on the sheet. So what I mean by that is if your build cost is 500k and your GDV is £1 million and you're 10% off each, the bigger impact is on the GDV. If you're 10% out, you're 100k loss. If you're 10% out on the build, you're a 50k loss. So because it's the biggest figure on the sheet, it needs the most attention to detail. It needs the most diligence around analyzing those figures. And we can get lazy, and we've been victim of this, of just looking at search land, property data, maybe even relying on an agent's valuation, but it all comes down to your actual homework that you've done. And that comes in tenfold. When an agent's giving you advice, you can't then just pass that on to an investor. You need to do your own homework, because the problem might be the investor might ask you a question of how have you got to that valuation? Why is it like that? And that process enables you to have to understand that you need to understand the sort of blood, the thick blood of that scheme. The first stage, I would pull a blended pound per square foot just to get the spreadsheet going. So I call that get the stack going. So you might go on property data, search land, land insight, Nimbus maps, whatever it may be, and you pull a blended pound per square foot for that area. Typically, we're talking about residential development schemes. The spread you will have is you might have 1-bed, 2-bed, 3-bed flats, and you might have 2-bed, 3-bed, 4-bed, 5-bed houses, and the pound per square foot is massively going to change. So the only purpose of that is just to get the spreadsheet going, get the inertia out of the way, get a figure in there so you can start playing around with the figures. And that is why we start with a blended pound per square foot. The reason we start with a blended pound per square foot is it could be 30% out. So 15% up, 15% down. But what this enables us to do is if it's that out, so 30% buffer, and we're looking at the purchase price and the build cost and the exit value, and the deal still doesn't work, even if you're potentially 30% out, then the first thing you need to do is analyze that your time is the most important thing, and can that deal. So the blended pound per square foot is get the spreadsheet going, and to either yes or no that scheme really broadly. Once you get past that point, I would then recommend you do a full report on the platform that you're on and start to look at the actual alike properties. So we've got on here, deals look like a starter. So you're confident that there potentially is margin in the scheme. And then you might look on Searchland and Agent Rightmove report, which is quite a common thing that an agent might produce. So we haven't spent much time on this yet. So we still blended average on point 1, tech report on point 2, and you haven't spent time on earth, because the biggest issue with comparables is you could spend days on it if you really wanted to, but you're trying to ensure that you're spending efficient time yourself, because that time on that deal might be time not on another deal. So you want to make sure that you're really prioritizing your time. Then let's just assume the stack starts to look okay and you think you might have a deal here. Obviously, if you haven't, you'd go back to the agent feedback and think it's overpriced, ask them how they got to that valuation. But let's just assume the deal is looking pretty positive. Then at that point, so stage number 3, I would actually personally go through Rightmove and look at sold properties that are like in the area and try and find comparables. If you're in a really populated area, you might be able to find comparables within the last sort of year. Rightmove doesn't register sales that quickly. So typically valuations like to look at the last sort of 3 to 6 months in sales. If you're on Rightmove, you might have to look a bit further back than that, like 6 to 9 months or 9 to 12 months. But at least you're looking at comparable stock. When you're doing that as a human, you can actually then start to look at, well, this one's got a smaller garden, that one's got a nice, that one's got parking, and start to get and build a flavor and exposure of that deal and what it will come into value at. Sometimes on deals, if there's enough headroom and we're confident with it, we'll bid at that stage. So stage 3 is sometimes consequently enough to get a bid forward, get the deal done, and start going forward in legals. Most of the time with bigger developments, we then need more data, more information, more opinions, because we've got to instruct a valuation. We've got to bring an investor on board. So to get enough comprehensive research, sometimes looking at 3 comparables on Rightmove isn't enough to secure those other parties that need to come on board. Quite rightly so. If I was an investor, I would want to see more than just some rooting around on Rightmove. At that stage, so stage 4, so stage 1, blended pound per square foot, stage 2, tech report, stage 3, Rightmove sold properties. Stage 3 is I would go to 3 local agents. Now, the 3 local agents have probably their fingertips in the Rightmove sold and potentially also the tech report and also the blended report, but they've lived and breathed that market. If you get someone that hasn't lived and breathed that market, will they potentially give you the best valuation? I'd probably argue not, because at this point, when you're going to those 3 agent valuations, you're looking for local knowledge, the gut of the market, the feel of the market, what is moving, what isn't moving, what's selling, like the boots on the ground. You want to ask their opinion and see what the reality is. So before, if you're not confident on bidding, I would then go to 3 agents before final bid using floor plans, and if you're comfortable using the site location. That way I feel you get a very dialed down, accurate valuation of the site. What I would say is agents are notorious for valuing things up because they want instructions. That's their job. They're salespeople. So make sure you position that as best you can. So say, look, I don't really care if you value this at £1 million or £1.2 million. That doesn't change my opinion of instructing you. I want you to value this as if we're selling these units. So that's stage 4. Typically, that's at the point where we'll get a bid forward. We've had sites like Tame before where we've gone to 3 agents and we're still none the wiser. So the next stage, which is stage 5, 3 more agents valuations. If you don't feel like you've got enough substance and comfort around those 3 agents, then actually sometimes 3 agents don't want to put the time together to share what they believe on the market on that particular scheme. We would then go to 3 more agents. Equally, if we've secured the site in legals, we would still go to 3 more agents. We're going to 6 agents if we can in this process, so that even pre-bid or post-bid, depending on how confident you are on the scheme, you've then got 6 agent valuations. You can really determine the values of the site. Point number 6 is that we then blend. We blend the 3 agents valuations. We blend our Rightmove valuations ourselves. So we've got 6 sources that are external and third party. We've got our own resource, which is internal, and we probably understand the scheme a little bit more. And then we blend those values. The reason we blend those is because you might have, to give you a prime example, when we went to market, having pretty much complete Marlow, our valuation spread post PC, so finishing the scheme, was like 20 something percent. Now that's when we're finished. We're not even speculatively looking at what finishes we have, what planning we might get, what the market's going to be like in 2 years. So you will get a natural blend, and that is why we say blend those costs, because you need to try and de-risk it yourself. We don't like to attach a new build premium because that is potentially hope value, and that is the 6 stages to try and get a comprehensive valuation on a site. Last but not least, which is point 7, which is sharing. So you've got all of this data and you've got all this information, but you don't just cast this out to everyone and anyone that you feel may be relative to have this information. We send the higher valuations typically in the valuation pack because we want to try and support the optimism and ensure that we get the best valuation possible. Everyone's like, why do you want to get the best valuation possible? It's like, it's easier to deleverage something than to try and get a higher valuation on something. So always shoot for the best valuation you can get. We actually share the medium or mean with the investor, so the realistic values. We don't overshoot those, we don't undershoot those, but we just share what we think it's going to fall in at. And then if we need to renegotiate with the seller, we will share the lower valuation of those tiers. A bit of a hack there, that last point. So if you stayed with us till this point, that's a bit of a tip to, 1, get better valuations, 2, get investors on side, and 3, chip/renegotiate if you need to, because we've often had it where the vendor's valuation is far amiss from what actual reality. We've actually sent a valuation today to a vendor, which is a red book valuation. So we haven't not shared anything else, but it's just reality. It's not where they think it is. They need their expectations readjusted. And that is that. So that's a 7-step process.
If you got value from this video, make sure you click the subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell, because we release 1 video at least every week, so be the first to get notified. See you on the next one.